we go.
Hey guys, welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Actions podcast. This is where you can hear directly from the decision makers building a better future in New Jersey. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform so you never miss an episode. Now, here's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan.
And hello, I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. This is a podcast where we'll get a chance to speak with the real leaders of the construction industry, learn not only what they do in the construction industry, but also learn a little bit about them. So we're really glad to have you here. And my special guest here today is Charlie Manning. Hi, Charlie. How you doing?
Good morning, Jerry. Good to see you.
Charlie you are I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure, the Managing Director of Global Infrastructure Solutions. You are the Executive Vice President of LiRo-Hill, and maybe most important of all, you are the new chair of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Let's everyone hear for Charlie Manning. But no,
Thank you, Jerry.
You've got an amazing career. Everyone in the industry honestly knows Charlie Manning. If you walk around and you go to the meetings, or you see people at restaurants, or you see people down at the State House, they all know who you are. How did you, well, first of all, tell me exactly what you do at Global Infrastructure Solutions / LiRo-Hill.
Yeah, actually, I joined Global Infrastructure Solutions 5 years ago. And I joined as a managing director prior to the merger of LiRo, Hill International, and GEI Consultants. And I was fortunate to participate in the due diligence process of those three mergers. And now that we've grown, I've actually gone into, we've created this thing, we call it the Global Infrastructure Solutions, or GISI Consulting Group. And I am now an executive vice president with LiRo-Hill, which is really the anchor tenant of that consulting group, the GISI Consulting Group. So I feel very fortunate to continue as an executive vice president with LiRo-Hill, continue my career, with GISI in that capacity.
And what do you do there?
A lot of people ask that question. They're really not sure. And they also don't know where I am half the time. But no, I help with corporate development. Geographic expansion was one of our goals when we acquired or merged with LiRo. And New Jersey was a ripe target for LiRo. Having been a New York-based firm, there was plenty of fertile ground in New Jersey with their great experience and 1,000 employees. And about 150 of those employees live in New Jersey, and we want to get them working in New Jersey. So really over the past few years, we've hired some leadership, established an office in New Jersey, and are creating synergy with LiRo-Hill and GEI across the GISI Consulting Group platform.
Now, it's interesting you talk about Jersey, and when I think of you, Charlie, because I'm here in Jersey all the time, but when I think of you, I think of a Jersey guy. But I know you live in Long Island, your office is in New York, but you are, at the core, a Jersey guy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I was 5 years old when I moved to, at the time, it was Haddonfield, New Jersey, but ultimately became Cherry Hill Township. Yeah. And it was one of the first developments in Cherry Hill. And the reason we moved there was my father was a mechanical engineer who had graduated from NYU. And began working at RCA in Camden. So, we're in a community that developed. We were the first development in Cherry Hill, Kingston Estates, and we grew. We outgrew the parish in Haddonfield and created our own parish in Cherry Hill. And, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so my whole development was really in New Jersey. I went to public grade school for kindergarten and first grade, but then went to Catholic schools, St. Peter Celestine School, grade school, and then went on to Camden Catholic High School. So I feel very close. I'm one of the few people that you run into that know the difference between North Jersey, Central Jersey, and South Jersey. So I'm a real South Jersey guy. I started off as an Eagles fan, and when I went to Manhattan College in New York City, which is now Manhattan University, I could not become a Giants fan, so I became a Jets fan, which was pretty easy back then. Having Joe Namath just winning, and the Jets winning the Super Bowl, and going to school in the Bronx, Manhattan College in the Bronx. It's interesting. There's a story that goes with that, but I was easy to become a Yankees fan.
Well, good
I couldn't
idea.
become a Mets fan.
No.
But I met my wife, who was from Long Island up there, and we ended up settling in Long Island, where I am now. But I'm very frequently in New Jersey, as you know. I was here yesterday. I'm here today. I'll be here again tomorrow. And I have very strong professional relationships there, and hope to continue those in the years to come.
So you grew up in South Jersey, and you've been all over Central, North Jersey. You know the difference. So what is the real name? Is it a pork roll sandwich, or is it a Taylor ham sandwich?
I'm going to leave that to you, Jerry.
It's very controversial.
I think it can be done either way, but down in my part of the woods, we know what scrapple is.
Oh, right.
So,
and
we certainly know what cheesesteak hoagies are.
Yeah.
Even though Philly lays claim to them, but South Jersey has a pretty good.
Another question there: is it a cheesesteak hoagie or a cheesesteak sub?
No, that'd be a hoagie. Okay. Thank you.
Well, you really have had an interesting career, and I know a little bit about. I think you were involved with the Alliance in the early days.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was fortunate to. Early in my career, I worked at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in its formative years in the water wastewater construction grants program. And our goal back in those days was to eliminate raw sewage discharges, which were happening all over, the New York, New Jersey.
Is that all part of the
metropolitan area?
Combined sewer overflows?
First get rid of the raw sewage discharge. It was literally pipes with untreated sewage being discharged into the Hudson, East River, and Lower Bay, as well as the Delaware River, for that matter. So what we did was bring those plants up to what's called secondary treatment, and then eventually the focus became on combined sewer overflows in the developed areas. But anyway, in that program, I worked at EPA for about 10 years. I was fortunate to be exposed to the Alliance for Action in its formative years. I think it was formed 50 years ago.
Yep, exactly.
And Ellis Vieser and the Alliance were held out as a great example of an organization that advocates on behalf of the communities to get funding and get their projects going. And it started with that, as well as highways, bridges, whatever. But the wastewater, there was a lot of money in wastewater treatment back in those days. and that's where I really met. Having been involved there, I met Ellis, Jack Buzzy, many of the people that were instrumental in forming the Alliance for Action back then. And we tried to, in New York, tried to recreate that. Region 2 handled New York, New Jersey, Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. I didn't get a chance to go to the Caribbean, but I was allowed to venture into New Jersey as well as upstate New York. So that was a great experience, but that's where I was first exposed to the Alliance.
When Charlie, when we've spoken, it's very clear to me that you've had people in your life that were very important to you. Tell us about your high school, and tell us about Manhattan College. And I know you're still involved, really involved a lot with Manhattan College. I'm not so sure what you're doing with Camden, but I know you were very close with one of the priests at Camden.
Yeah, Michael Doyle, who passed away 2 years ago. He was actually, he came over on the boat from County Cavan in Ireland. And it was a brand new parish. I met him as well as Patrick Mulligan, who Father Mulligan back then. He has since left the priesthood. But Father Doyle was really a pacifist, you know. I mean, the first real pacifist I ever met. And, so I served Mass for him hundreds of times, 6 a.m. Mass. And when the parish was being formed, as well as I had him as a theology teacher at Camden Catholic. So he was a very, very close friend of the family, and we were sad to lose him 2 years ago. Back then Vietnam was going on; it was just starting up, and he. If you read about the Camden 28, he was with the Berrigan brothers and everything, and breaking into the Camden draft board and destroying draft cards. Could have very well destroyed mine. Father Doyle, he became a Monsignor, but you had to refer to him as either Father Doyle or Michael. And again, he was part of the Camden 28, ended up on 60 Minutes. He was, after breaking into the Camden Draft Board, he was prosecuted, and he defended his own case and won. And, it's quite a story if you get a chance. You really should look it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people might not realize it, but I know Charlie you tend to find yourself on the golf course every once in a while. And I do know you really enjoy golf, and of course we all do, but how has it impacted you in your career, golf?
Well, it's interesting. Prior to being a board member of the Alliance for Action, I served on the golf co-sponsorship committee. So, I think you were throwing me a bone for the various sponsorships that my firms have given. But, golf is just a great networking thing. Now everybody has golf outings, but over the past 20 or 30 years, it really became a big thing. But I find it as a great opportunity to get to know someone, or people that get to spend some time with and develop strong relationships. And in my role of corporate development, which it really has been that over the past 25 years, it's great to have relationships. And many of my relationships, I would say most of them, has started out at a golf course. The remainder of those pretty much were over a dinner table. And I'm a scratch at the dinner table. I'm a high handicap golfer, but I am scratch at the dinner table.
Well, that's interesting. I want to ask you about your favorite restaurants, but first let me ask you about, you are a true golf historian. Tell us about your club.
Well, I'm fortunate to be a member of a club where one of the charter members included some very, high-end golf course architects, C.B. McDonald, Devereux Emmett. However, Walter Travis is, I think, my favorite golf course architect. And he designed Garden City Country Club and many other clubs, including Aquanic in Vermont and the two Westchester courses, very well renowned. But I really enjoy playing golf.
Besides your own club, do you have a favorite?
Well, I have to tell you, I have two favorite courses, and one of them is on Long Island. It's Bethpage Black. And, they give you the warning when you tee off there. There's a big sign that warns you that it's only for highly skilled golfers. Like most signs, I didn't pay much attention to it. But I find it as an incredible course. And it was the first time I ever felt fear on a golf course, was walking off the third green to the fourth tee and looking at this hole with two-level fairways and bunkers that were massive. It was but in any event, I find it very challenging. And that's a public golf course. I can play it for $75 as a New York State resident. You can play it for maybe an extra $50. So tee times are a little difficult to get, but it's great. On the West Coast, the other favorite course I have is Torrey Pines. And the Farmers was just held last week, and with the fires in California, Tiger's outing is going to be held there in a couple weeks as well. And Torrey Pines, they have a south and north course. Each of those courses is equally challenging to Bethpage Black and as beautiful as the Black. However, the scenes, the views are absolutely incredible from the Pacific. And the first time I played there, it's right not far from Miramar, where the Top Gun movie was made. And we had jets, military jets, going over the golf course 2x2, Chinook helicopters out in the ocean. There were those amphibious vehicles doing maneuvers. It was the noisiest round of golf I ever played, but it was really just something to behold on a beautiful day out there.
There's nothing like it when you're out there on a beautiful course and there's a river there or highly elevated or whatever the case may be. I've always felt when you're out there, that patch of land is yours for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and you get a real chance to enjoy it. And you were one of my first victims golfing with me.
Well, Jerry, you didn't ask me who one of my favorite players is to play with. And, of course, we're giving it up here, but you're one of the favorites that I can count on less than a handful. And we certainly have had a few laughs. And, in spite of you playing military golf, which is hitting to the left, right, we still managed to get through in 4 hours. So we have a good time.
But the jokes make it all worthwhile, right?
Well, my jokes, yours not so much.
I also wanted to talk, you mentioned you made so many contacts in golf, and you made so many contacts over a dinner plate or a breakfast plate or a lunch plate. And that's the type of business you're in, and so much of what the business that we do at the Alliance, it's all networking, making connections, not only for myself, but bringing people in to our events so they can network with each other. But tell us about that. Like, how valuable is it for you to sit down across the table with someone that you don't know, but you need to get to know, if you get a chance to have lunch with them or dinner?
Well, we're kidding around about golf and food, restaurants, but Jim Weinstein
Former
had a
DOT
saying.
commissioner, former New Jersey Transit executive director.
Yeah, my boss at one point,
Yeah.
he had a famous saying, which was 90% of this business is just showing up. And showing up at events like the Alliance for Action, and where you can meet all kinds of people. And, some people are shy, but most of them that go to these events want to interact. They've taken the trouble to go to the event. So if I'm, meet some new people, I mean, it's a great place to meet people and to network. Usually, many of the industry people that ultimately you want to see are at your events, whether they're teaming partners or clients or competitors. We deal with all of them. And, really, that's been a big part in building relationships is showing up at your events and interacting.
What you mentioned just before, sometimes competitors. The interesting thing is this person could be a competitor today, but tomorrow could be a joint venture. Or
Could be a teaming partner.
Yeah.
It happens every day. So people that we compete very, very hard against could be our teaming partner on the next job. And it's we do have in the engineering community, there really is a camaraderie that is built over the years based on trying to win that work or do the work.
Well, you can definitely see it when you get to watch people and the way they talk with each other, and you can tell if there's a respect or if there's burnt bridges or whatever the case may be. And I've noticed that for sure, because there is so many times that you're competing against someone and the next week they're a teaming partner. How do you manage that? You're on a project with them today and tomorrow you're working against them. Tell us about that process.
Well, it's all in the interest of really building infrastructure. So, we put those things aside. We can compartmentalize because there's no greater joy than being able to see a project that you might have been involved in planning, designing, managing construction, getting into operation, commissioning, and seeing that project after it's done. So, in my case, I've got some projects that I go back 10, 20 years later. And, I get a lot of satisfaction from knowing that.
One of the interesting things, you are a professional engineer, but you do a lot of business development. Being a business development person, you don't have to be a professional engineer, but it's got to give you a big advantage, the fact that you know the business, how these jobs are run.
Yeah, it goes, much of our business is based on doing a great job and making sure the client is satisfied with the work that you do. And, as you graduate in the engineering profession from a junior engineer to a, professional engineer, a designer, a project manager, a construction manager, as you graduate throughout that, eventually you might become an officer of the firm, a vice president, and a project executive. So you're dealing with ultimately people from, the client's project engineer all the way up to the executive director or, whatever the equivalent is. And you want to make sure that, you follow the proper protocols and everything, but you want to be sure the client is happy at all levels. So having come up through that system really makes you a much more effective business developer. But what we all consider ourselves to be, people in my position, are really more like project executives.
Now, you mentioned before your father, I believe you said mechanical engineer. Did you always know this was your path? What did you want to be when you were young?
Well, as I mentioned, my father worked at RCA. He helped invent the handheld TV camera, believe it or not,
Wow.
at RCA in Camden. And my friends' fathers all worked at RCA, either in the commercial end, like my dad, or the defense industry. And there's a big facility at the time in Moorestown. So pretty much most of the people I knew, their fathers were engineers. And as I went through high school, oh, by the way, my grandfather is an engineer from Lehigh.
Wow.
My mother's two brothers are both engineers. So, I honestly didn't know there was anything other than engineering. And to make matters worse, my father being a mechanical engineer, I went into that major, which, by the way, didn't work out too well for me.
Oh, no?
No,
What do you mean by
I had
that?
some difficulty with thermodynamics. And as a result, was afraid I was going to fail out of engineering. But at Manhattan College, when I went to see the dean of engineering, he and explained the predicament that I thought I wanted to transfer into a different major, like business. He suggested I try civil engineering, and the rest is history.
So, really important when you mentioned the gentleman who helped you at Manhattan College. Manhattan College has a special place in your heart. You're still very involved.
Yeah, that, by the way, that was Brother Burris, a Christian brother who was the dean of engineering at the time that made that happen. And I feel very fortunate to have had the 50-year career that I've been enjoying, most of it anyway, in the engineering business, pretty much in the infrastructure engineering business, being involved in water, wastewater, power, nuclear, waste to energy, and transportation over the past 25 years. Highways, bridges, transit systems, airports, what have you. So, so I feel very fortunate and stay involved with the college, which I think people need to give back in one way or another. And, I help out with some of their big events. There's an annual fundraiser, the De La Salle dinner. I'm on the dinner committee for that. This year we're honoring the CEO of Delta Airlines. But even within those committees, there's great opportunities to network with some of the peers, but also people outside the industry. So, and I also stay involved with the civil engineering department and try and serve as a consultant to them and a feeder for some of their students.
And I was going to ask you about the students. Do you get a chance to see the students, work with the students, give advice to the students?
Yeah, it's a good question. Every now and then I serve as a guest speaker for one of the adjuncts, and I do see the students. And many times I ask them, well, who needs a job? And none of them raise their hands.
Wow.
They've all had internships with firms throughout their professional or academic experience, which I find to be amazing. I mean, in my day, maybe a third of the people, we didn't call them internships, we called them summer jobs, but maybe a third of the people had those opportunities, but most of us didn't.
You mentioned before in passing, you've been in this business for 50 years. Now, wow, 50 years, that is a lot of changes, but particularly in technology. Now, there's a lot more coming, but how did you, over those 50 years, keep up?
Well, we have professional development requirements that go along with the license. So, that kind of keeps us up to date with some of the developments in the industry. But also, when we pursue projects, we need to provide state-of-the-art technology to the clients, whether it's construction management or design or whatever. So as part of doing projects and pursuing new projects, we really learn about some of the new things coming down. But when I first started my career, the first job I had involved doing mathematical modeling and computer simulation for earthquakes on a nuclear power plant.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm thinking, what the heck? So I'm working with these PhDs. Here's a guy who barely got out of Manhattan College with a civil engineering degree. And I'm working with these PhDs telling them their program doesn't work. And I attribute that to, the educational training early on computers. Back then the computers were, they were size of this room. And, now what you have on your phone is equal to that computing power. But, so we've always been, and we learned, one of my professors actually said, the day you stop learning in this business is the day you're done. So pretty much every day I try and pick something up.
Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
When you talk about that, I came and visited you at your office several years ago, and you showed me, I had never seen one before. I didn't even know they could do it, but the 3D printer. And you told me what that goes in. They can build little models. And now that's all. I'm sure that they still have 3D printers, but the technology behind that, you can do. Well, you tell me, what can you show on a computer screen with these printing possibilities now?
Well, you can show on a screen, full 3D, 4D models, 5D. I mean, they put in schedule and cost as you're doing all this, but you can visualize what the bridge or whatever is going to look like, or the intersection, or some of these projects are extremely complex with maintaining traffic throughout building a project, and all the modeling and everything that goes into it are very involved. So you can show it, you can visualize, and a picture tells 1,000 words or whatever. Yeah. And this is that's some of the technology. But the 3D printing is interesting in that you can design the thing in 3D. You can design a bridge and yet print it out and be able to show the client.
It's incredible.
How you're going to build. Actually, we had a situation where a contractor came and said, this is not buildable. And we used a 3D model to show the contractor how you build this particular abutment on a bridge. And, so it's very helpful, not just in the project visualization, but in the actual construction sequencing and, the building of a project.
Charlie, we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you something that I know is very important to you. And tell me about your experience maybe 2 Thursdays ago when you went to go see the hockey game with your granddaughter.
That was pretty good. We live in Long Island, so we're Islanders fans, and they have a new venue now. UBS was designed by AECOM, actually, built by AECOM.
An alumni.
And I'm an alumni of AECOM. And, many of us at GISI came from AECOM. And there's people at AECOM now that will be coming to GISI. They just don't know that yet. But
you heard it here first.
Yes. But it was great. I had my granddaughter with me, and we were put up in a suite, and it was just a great experience.
That's terrific.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
terrific. Well, Charlie, we do have to wrap up. I want to say thank you for being here. I feel like Conan O'Brien. We have so much that we haven't covered. I got to ask you to come back again sometime.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
But again, I want to say thank you, Charlie. All of your friendship, your hard work, your being a chair of the Alliance for Action, being involved with the Alliance for Action before I even got here. It's always been a pleasure knowing you, working with you, having fun with you. It's always been great.
Yeah, if I could just say one
sure.
final thought. Having the opportunity to be chair of the Alliance for Action. I mean, I don't have a bucket list, but if I did, that will be on the bucket list. It's just a phenomenal opportunity and a real capstone on my career. So thank you for the opportunity. You've done such great work, and Amanda, the prior chair, working with you to keep the Alliance going and thriving in the COVID and post-COVID era. So I look forward to working with you to build it even better.
Well, that's really nice, Charlie. Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure working with you and knowing you for all these years. We've become good friends. We've done a lot of things together, a lot of fun, a lot of work, and it's always worked out. So thank you very much. That wraps up Under Construction with Jerry Keenan. And this was a great example of what we're doing here. Under Construction gives you the opportunity to learn about real leaders in the industry, and not only what they're doing at work, but to learn about them as the person they are. So I want to say thank you again for Charlie for being with us. If you have more questions about the Alliance for Action, you can learn more at alliancefораction.com. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle is NJ Alliance for Action. Do us a favor. Follow us. If you see something, tag us. We'll tag you right back. That's what it's all about these days. Well, I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, have a great day. I'm Jerry Keenan.
Thanks for tuning in. Under Construction with Jerry Keenan is a production of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode, and be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. To learn more about membership and events, go to alliancefораction.com. Together, we're building a better future. We'll see you next time.